I got up from a chair to walk out to the stairs in work, and I just felt basically the whole right side of my body just stopped working. Very confused state came over me. Lasted for about 40 seconds and then resolved. And then over the next hour and a half, it happened. I lost count of how many times it happened, but it just kept repeating itself. I work for Dublin Fire Brigade, so I was in the fire station at the time when it happened, so I suppose I was very lucky in one way that I had help, medical help available to me immediately. In my head, I kind of knew something wasn't right. Obviously at the time, I had no idea it was a stroke. It was 41, I think, when it happened, so never on my radar that this is ever going to happen, you know. But when he said the words, "you've had a stroke," you know, I was obviously on my own, I'm starting to fill up, get upset, you know, and panic immediately sets in. You know, and you've a million questions, you know, that you want answered immediately, you know. So when he told me, yeah, it was a big shock. It was hard to accept the fact that it was like, I think they call it cryptogenic stroke, where you can never figure, there's no reason why it happened. You know, I don't know if I would have liked an answer. You know, sometimes you say that's better that you can get an answer. Just one of them things, you know, maybe a little clot went through off in your heart or whatever, you know. So subsequently with Dr. Marnane, they put in a loop recorder. So the loop recorder is a little device about the size of a thick matchstick. It just sits under your skin, just under your skin there. And basically that keeps an eye on your heart for arrhythmias. So one of the theories is that I may have had a run of atrial fibrillation that caused a stroke. So this is put in, it's set to monitor for atrial fibrillation. If I happen to have a run of atrial fibrillation, it will send a signal to the box beside the bed, and the box will tell the hospital that I've had it. It's a great comfort to have that there, you know, that if there's anything sinister going on that I can't feel, because you won't feel AFib most of the time, you know, the hospital will ring me and tell me. I would have been in contact with Minister, I think, for 3 months after the event, you know, between I had to monitor my blood pressure at home, you know, stuff like that, and she was kind of the liaise for that. Just know yourself, like, obviously you can't get in touch with the consultants immediately, but you could ring Melissa, you know, any time of the day, and she'd have an answer for you fairly sharpish, which was great, you know. Everything was covered in the hospital stay, you know, from a physical health point of view and even a mental health point of view, which was probably the hardest part of all this, to be honest. You know, they had a psychiatrist talk to me in here. I can't remember the lady's name, but she came in and sat with me for an hour, you know, and then followed up my GP some months later. You know, so it was hugely beneficial, and it was really important for me to try and meet that head on and deal with it, you know, because for me that was the hardest part, because I had no physical, if you looked at me you wouldn't know I had a stroke. But I knew I had a stroke, and trying to worry about, obviously, you know, work, you know, exercise, going for all these little things that you would have just taken for granted before, you know. Just when this happens, it is a life-changing event, you know. When you have a stroke, it's generally a physical illness, you know, whether it's speech or, you know, your coordination, your movement, stuff like that. But the mental end of things, because you have to go home, you know, every night with yourself, you know, and an awful lot of time in your own head, you know, thinking and stuff like that. So I would say if anyone has suffered a stroke or something similar, it's just make sure you're all right mentally, or at least getting the help to be all right mentally, because I think that's probably, as I've found, the hardest bit for me to cope with.